This is The Heat Source, the podcast where we learn everything we can about hot sauce, one bottle at a time. We are your hosts, Mike and Matt, and today we're trying Thresher Shark Chipotle hot sauce from the Spicy Shark. Let's heat up. All right, and it is a bright and early morning for us today on our episode.
Again.
Life happened again.
It gets you up in the morning. I've got the whole day ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'll have a brand new hot sauce to enjoy or to think about what I'm going to put it on. And this week's episode is actually a hot sauce that I met the sauce maker at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest, which is almost as much of a theme as the 2020 sauce makers that we've tried. Mm-hmm. But we're trying the Spicy Shark's Thresher Shark Chipotle sauce out of, it says, born in New England. So this one's going to be pretty unique. We were just talking about the ingredients before we started. Just to list off a handful of them, because there's quite a few. Cold brew coffee, onion, apple cider vinegar, chipotle, habanero, banana, water, tomato, peach, bell pepper. But there was also some ginger in here, some cinnamon, some hibiscus orange extract, nutmeg, thyme, just like...
So if you look at the ingredients, which they all sound good, but to see them all together, it's like, if you just threw someone those ingredients and said, what is this?
Yeah.
People would be like, maybe like a banana bread with chipotle. Like, it's all over the board.
Right.
And sounds really good all over the board.
And it is interesting. I'd be curious how much of each ingredient, how much ratio, where it's like I just put a little bit of thyme or nutmeg just to bring this out or temper this. So, but it is interesting that the cold brew coffee is number one on the list.
Yeah.
And we haven't tried any, but we've seen some coffee recommendations. I know Queen's Majesty has a coffee hot sauce that Lauren from Hot Graham Sauce Company recommended once. Mm-hmm. And I haven't ordered it only because I feel like I'm going to order the full array of her sauces, because those are ones that have been on Hot Ones and everything. But then also the extremely hot sauce from Sam Sauce has coffee involved in it too. So
yeah.
But this week, we're trying this Chipotle sauce. We wanted to try something a little bit different than what we've tried before. We haven't really done a Chipotle-focused sauce, and we've done a lot of fruity sauces, so this is a nice, even though there is quite a bit of fruit in the ingredient list, like there's fruit pectin, and there's a lot of things just for that all-natural.
I think it'll be a little bit more savory.
A little bit.
I'm thinking so, but
just a little bit.
Who knows with that ingredient list?
I was trying to think ahead of time of like what to put it on, and then I realized I should stop trying and just like really kind of see what it tastes like, what kind of triggers the food in my head, because with all those ingredients, I'm like, I don't know which way.
Yeah, so maybe it's just more nostalgia, but whenever I think of Chipotle, I always think of like squash, like acorn squash or something like that.
Never would have gone there.
My mom used to make this. It was like a butternut squash soup. It's just like saute up onions and celery, garlic, roast a squash, throw it together, use a hand blender, blend it all. So it kind of looks like baby food. And she used to make this Chipotle sour cream. Throw a bunch of Chipotles in the adobo sauce in the sour cream.
Yeah.
Throw a big dollop of that in the squash soup. Oh, so good.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Just the idea of a Chipotle sour cream sounds amazing as just like go-to for a lot of things.
Yeah. And
I'm glad that the first thought wasn't the Chipotle restaurant. Like when I think of Chipotle, I think of that.
I went to Chipotle the other day, $17 for a burrito bowl and chips.
You know, you could get a loaded pulled pork mac and cheese for less than that, and a side of pulled or brisket.
That about gave me a heart attack. So that air fryer changed my life. I normally make my lunch at work for like 79 cents a day. And then to do 17 days worth of food in one card swipe is like, that sucks.
Well, that was what I was mentioning to you before, where I bought a bag of, I think it's Maseca flour to make my own tortillas. And sometimes people are like, why are you buying stuff to like messy the kitchen, make more things from scratch? And I was like, this is a $3 bag that's going to last me for tens of, if not over 100 plus tortillas. And I'm paying, cents for the tortilla instead of getting these packs of pre-made. And
instead of 6-pack or a 20-pack for $6 or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but we are going to get into the sauce here, and then we'll get into some of the history. There's quite a bit with the theme of a Thresher shark named sauce after the spicy shark, which I guess you probably guessed is shark themed. We've got a bunch of different content and history to talk about here. One thing I will say on the back, it does focus on the complex smoky sauce that has notes of coffee and chocolate, which I didn't even...
Yeah, there's chocolate, vanilla at the bottom.
Chocolate, baking cocoa, and vanilla. Yeah, I skipped over that one. And then it also says it goes great with tacos, eggs, turkey burgers, poultry, fish, Mexican food, and anything in need of flavor and heat, which is a great one. And shake before use, refrigerate after opening, which is always important to mention. Separation is natural. That's one thing I've noticed with a lot of sauces I've bought way far ahead. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to open the seal yet. That they separate and you think like, oh man, like what's that? But then you shake it up and it's like, oh, it's an all natural sauce. So it's just going to have that separation.
Yeah.
I think he even mentioned when I tried the sauce, he even talked about how like, I think it was either to me or to the person he just sold bottles to where it's like, it's natural separation. They're all natural sauces. Just make sure to shake them up before you open it. It is vegan, gluten-free, and made in the USA. All right. So we're going to open up this seal here. It's like a matte black seal. I've had some bad luck with the seals lately. I feel pretty good about this one.
Yep.
Back to true form.
That's what redemption sounds like.
Yeah. All right. So let's open this.
So I have a feeling that we're going to talk about probably the greatest shark movie of all time, if not top 5 greatest movies of all time.
I didn't know you loved Sharknado that much.
No. Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson.
I don't know much about that movie anymore because I don't know when I think I saw it maybe the year or two after it came out. But I do still remember the LL Cool J song that he did for that. Kind of like trying to do the Men in Black Will Smith, like I'm going to be in a movie and then make the song for the movie.
Right.
But I'm just going to pour. So the consistency is a very smooth pour. It's not really runny at all. The smell.
That smells like a meal in itself.
It's like I get the Chipotle and I get kind of a Chipotle chocolatey smell to it. It definitely smells like something that's already like, if you had me smell that and said that's the dish I'm having for lunch, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's a complete.
Yeah, if you blindfolded someone and had them smell it, you'd be like, it smells like a good meal.
It's a nice dark, like brownish red color. All right, let's give this a try.
I get the chocolatey right away.
Yeah, and the Chipotle. Like the Chipotle is obviously strong.
Man, that's really good.
Now this is listed as, he has on the back, it lists as warm, a 2-fin out of 5-fin scale. He actually does a heat scale pretty close to ours. So we do a heat scale of 0 to 5. 0, no heat. 1 is presence. 2 is kind of lingering. 3 is like you're reacting, like nose running and all that. 4 is good pain. 5 is bad. He has a 5-fin scale, but then he also has a 6-fin option. Mm-hmm. So he has, the 5-fin is mild, warm, which this is the one in the warm, medium, hot, wicked hot, New England, and then 6-fin series extreme heat, which he only has one sauce, I believe, in that category, which I bought for my brother-in-law for him to try.
That makes me, the way you said that, that makes me think of Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my friend. He's wicked smart.
Wicked smart. My friend of mine that I did basic with, he told me that the best way to have kind of fake a Boston accent is to say you left your khakis in your car, but just say I left my khakis in my car. It's like, oh, you left your car keys in your car. That's good.
I went to Maine last year. We stopped in Massachusetts. For a hot second, there were some people with such a thick accent. I'm like, I wish you had subtitles on right now.
Yeah. Oh,
it was coming from like nasally Michigan.
Yeah.
To something like that was, to me, that was more dramatic of an accent than going south.
There's certain accents where it's like you kind of know the movie version of the accent that's like it has it, but it's a little bit more pulled back. And then like Louisiana, there's some Louisiana accents where you're like, think he's happy about what just happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going by tone more than.
Right.
But this is really good. I really like this. The heat, yeah, it is kind of a warm heat. It's not super strong. Like I would put it as a 2 for our scale because like
I would say 1+, 2-, but no, it's really good. The flavor's amazing. Like I really like that sauce.
And so the owner of this sauce company, Gabe, started in February of 2019. So it wasn't a pandemic sauce maker like we've had a handful of. But
or was he just jumping the gun a little bit? He saw it was coming.
Had some
was
foresight.
Like, better start a hot sauce company.
Maybe. But he's located in the New England region in New Hampshire, which I just heard this last week, so I thought it was interesting to say, do you know what New Hampshire's state motto is? It's the best of all the states, in my opinion. I haven't looked at all of them, but I feel like it's going to be hard to beat.
No.
It's live free or die.
I do know that one.
Yeah,
yes.
From the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it was originated, and they just kept it. And
what do they mean by that? I wish they were more direct.
Well, yeah, I wish it wasn't. There's a little bit less subtlety. Well, I saw it, and the first reaction was like, oh, that's one word away from one of my favorite Die Hard movies. Not my favorite. Live Free or Die Hard.
I've never seen a Die Hard movie. I'm sorry.
You've never seen any of the Die Hard movies?
I saw, I think, part of the first one. Is there a scene where he's crawling under the table and there's a guy on top of the table shooting down? Okay.
Yeah.
That counts.
Oh, my gosh.
A little bit.
Okay. Wow,
Hold up. I'm going to go on record and say you've never seen Top Gun.
That's true. But I know a lot more about Top Gun than you know about Die Hard.
I know that Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie to some.
You can't really have the discussion because you have to point at certain parts and elements of the movie. Wow. This could... Had we not had all this content for me to go through about Spicy Shark, this would have been a totally different episode going forward from here.
Right. We're done with hot sauce. We're going into movies now.
Yeah. Weird segue, movie related. Also, New Hampshire is where Jumanji was filmed, the 1995 one with Robin Williams. Did you see that movie?
I can see that. Oh, yeah, I love that one. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
It's like the colonial house and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like that one.
Yeah, I just had a few different... so once I knew the Revolutionary War state motto that has held, I was like, all right, what's a couple more New Hampshire things? Also, one of the windiest places on earth is Mount Washington in New Hampshire.
I did know that. So I knew it was Mount Washington. I did not know it was New Hampshire.
Yep. It's at the peak height of 6,289 feet. It recorded 231 miles per hour in 1934.
That's insane.
I typoed and put MPGs. 231 miles per gallon.
That's pretty good.
It's a fantastic car.
No, I did know that. So I'm very interested in the outdoors and went to the other side of the country and went to Mount Rainier.
Okay.
And it's been like a goal of mine to go back and climb Rainier or summit it. And I was looking up top 5 most challenging peaks in the continental U.S. and Mount Washington's one of them. Apparently it's a very difficult peak. And it's like brutally cold.
Yeah, they said it was, so it had the record for 62 years. Australia's Typhoon, which was 233 miles per hour, beat it, but it's still the windiest, or the like in-person recording, fastest in-person recording.
That's crazy because I picture like Patagonia, and people can't even stand up.
Right.
And apparently that's windier than Patagonia, which is nuts.
So just getting into a little bit of Gabe's history. So he was born in Manhattan, grew up in New Jersey, Long Island. Also, this was a little bit of a cheat sheet for me, is he wrote a blog post kind of running through his whole history. So like I did listen to some interviews. He was on a few podcast episodes of different shows. So I did some research there, but I'm like, man, this blog is literally like Cliff Notes. So if you go to that, they'll have a little bit more in depth. If you go to his website and go to his history, which is in Our Story, there's a link to it. It gives a lot more in depth, but this is kind of a brief rundown. So he's half Italian, half Croatian. He worked restaurant business during school, which I found kind of cool. He listed off each individual restaurant that he worked at. And one was a 100-year-old golf course, White Beaches Country Club, which I was like, it's just cool that over there, 100-year-old golf club makes more sense because, their history in New Hampshire is longer, over on the East Coast is longer than any other region. 50-plus-year-old restaurant in Grendel's Den. But then after college, a week after graduating, he joined the Boston Beer Company and worked there for 17 years. So he's been in food and, beverage industry, so he has that background.
I was going to ask, like, after looking at the ingredients list, I was going to see if he had a culinary background, which sounds like...
So, I mean, it sounds like it wasn't like a professional culinary experience, but it was one of those kind of...
he was involved in it.
Yeah, involved. He was in that industry, in that field. But after getting married and having their daughter, he had decided to leave the beer company and then go back to run the family. So the family business, there was a wedding venue business in Maine that they had, which I looked at. It's beautiful. I looked at again, he linked that as well. It's Granite Ridge Estate and Barn in Norway, Maine. He did that in 2014 because there was this huge boom in that where he had to, help the family business. So that allowed him also to kind of start working on his side passion or his passion of making hot sauce. And so a little bit of his not food background as far as work related, but food background as far as experience. His family introduced him to Thai, Indian, and Japanese food before he was 10. The house rule, same house rule that my parents had, you don't have to like it, but you have to try it. I'm trying to get that through with my kids. My daughter is the most resistant, where she's afraid of, my oldest, she's afraid of heights, and she's very resistant to trying a lot of the newer foods. I had a cheese tray, and it was not crazy cheese. It was like manchego. It was like, one with like blueberry in it or something. Like nothing, no extremely hot, no extremely like stink.
Like a chev.
Yeah.
An aged chev.
And I'm like, try this cheese. And she's like, no. I'm like, you either try the cheese or we're going to do at Craig's Cruisers, the adventure park by us. It has that big zip line.
Yep.
But it just like, the top of it isn't like a platform. It's just they string you up there and then let you go. And so I said, it's either this or the cheese. And she chose the zip line. Well, she chose not to do the cheese. So by refusing the cheese.
She's afraid of heights, though.
Yeah.
Wow. She must really not like.
She just didn't want to try it. So it's like, I have the same thing I'm trying to do. My youngest, she'll eat anything. So she'll try. I'm like, hey, I want to try this. She's like, yeah. She's the one that put Louisiana hot sauce on her eggs at like 1.5 years old.
That's fun.
Very proud. But also in high school, a large portion of Gabe's friends were Indian. So like a lot of curry and heat were everyday elements in, hanging out with them. It is funny. His wife is also a big hot sauce fan. On their third date, they were at a seafood place and he tried to catch the waiter before they left because he wanted to put some hot sauce on his chowder. And she pulled a bottle of Tabasco out of her purse and he was just like, sold.
That's the one.
Yeah. That, and like they also created a fire and ice margarita for like at their house with fresh garden habaneros soaked in tequila. So like building different flavors of heat.
Burn on burn.
Yeah. I'm not a big tequila fan. I did, when I was in Mexico, we did a tequila tasting before we went to these cenotes. And they told us like, all right, so take the tequila, roll it in your mouth a little bit, swallow it, and then breathe out right after you swallow. And I was like, okay. And I did not get the burn that I normally get from tequila. Don't know if that works for every one of them, but the one they had us try, which was a very good one.
Yeah.
No burn.
Interesting.
I would try it again, but I just never feel the urge to do tequila.
Right.
So yeah. So one of the other things that they did, him and his wife would do, is they would go to Greenport Fire, which was a hot sauce specialty store that opened in 2010. So they would frequent that, be like kids in a candy store, like looking over to see what sauces they could try, kind of what test sauces. I found it interesting that hot sauce store kept a thing of whipped cream behind the counter. So if like it was too much, they would just like give you whipped cream to cool you down.
That's funny.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that'd be...
I saw in New York you have to be 21 to buy whipped cream now.
What, because of like the aerosol?
Yeah. You have to show ID.
It's ruining everything. Do you have to show ID for Tide Pods yet? I know that was a big trend.
No, but you have to for kombucha now too.
I didn't get carded, and I bought 2 kombuchas just the other day.
That's funny. Well, I thought it was just funny. It says right there on the label, 21 and over.
Yeah.
That was strange.
That is odd. So he, like I said, in 2019 is when he officially went with the official Spicy Shark brand. But one of the things he talked about was...
How long did he do it before? Like, what was his...
I don't know when he officially started, like, tinkering or making sauces or doing anything like that. I know he had mentioned in a podcast interview where it had been quite a bit of time that he had been just making hot sauce for himself or maybe for friends. So I think we're looking at, 5+ years before. And then he talked about how he wanted, because even though he was born in Manhattan, he's kind of adopted this new home of the New England region. He wants to put it on the map as a spicy region. This was really cool. So he was at the Boston Hot Sauce Fest, but he hosted his first New England Hot Sauce Festival just this last year. And it was 25 hot sauce vendors, 14 local vendors, 8 food trucks. They raised nearly $10,000 for nonprofits, and they had over 2,400 people attend.
That's awesome.
For a first...
That was his first time?
Yeah.
That's really neat.
So that region there apparently just ate it up. No pun intended. He said he plans to be back next year. They did have competitive eater Mike Jack Eats Heat, which that's his YouTube handle, break his personal record by eating 60 Carolina Reapers.
That's impressive.
That sounds not fun.
I wonder if that's the guy. There's a show on Netflix called We're the Champions.
Yeah.
And they get this guy off from YouTube into the official pepper eating contest with, I think it's in Fort Mill or wherever the Carolina Reaper was started. But that guy, whoever started it, put on this pepper eating contest. They got a guy off from YouTube who just tears through. He had like a bag of 5 pounds of scorpions or something ridiculous. And he just ate them like popcorn.
Okay.
He got onto this pepper eating contest and single-handedly beat everyone that had been like the pepper eater for years. And
but didn't he like not react or something?
Yeah, he didn't even break a sweat. Yeah,
I think you showed me that.
Yeah, and the guy who started the Carolina Reaper was just like, yeah, that guy's weird. Like, there's something wrong with him.
It's kind of like the people that don't get affected by like tear gas, where it's like this should be bothering everybody, and it's like that person just walks through, and it's like that genetic difference. So one of the things he talked about when he, part of the reason he started his own hot sauce company is he wanted to experience great hot sauce more easily. He talked about how unless you go to a specialty store, generic stores, I mean, I do it every time I go to a grocery store. First thing I do, look at the hot sauce display. And usually it's like you've got pretty much generic and then maybe 1 or 2 local-ish. I think in Michigan you get a lot of like the Detroit Fire. You get a lot of just like, I don't think Truff is even considered, Truff is now like a big brand too because they're doing all kinds of stuff.
Didn't they just get bought out by someone or pair with someone?
They paired with Hidden Valley Ranch to do a Hidden Valley Spicy Ranch, truffle ranch hot sauce. There's so many things.
As someone from Michigan, I love ranch. I would say I adore ranch.
I do. I love ranch as well. You always will hear me tell you when I find a good ranch restaurant.
Hidden Valley is...
I don't like it.
It is the bottom tier of ranches.
They're the originators, though. Hidden Valley started it. But there's so many better ranches. Yeah. I like Ken's Ranch better. I like
Kraft Ranch better than Hidden Valley. It's just like, I don't know. It's not good.
Truff did a bunch of, like, they have their truffle mayo, their truffle spicy mayo they're advertising. Maybe it's just because I looked at that Hidden Valley thing, so I'm getting all the ads. So, yeah, it's like, some of the algorithms or some of the ways they find stuff out. Like, I told Angela that we got a puppy last week, and the day we picked her up, there was an ad for dog stuff on my Facebook, and I don't remember searching for anything dog related.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I feel like this went into my text.
I've never looked up furniture in my life, and Courtney had said the words Pier 1 the other day. My phone is nothing but Pier 1 ads.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
now it's on yours.
Dang it.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Got rid of your dog ads.
Yeah. But so that was one of the motivations behind wanting to, make a hot sauce, have people experience great hot sauce more easily. Obviously from the label or from the brand, you can tell that he's a fan of sharks. He became a shark fan from watching Jaws. That was what started it all.
Yeah.
He also, this is interesting, he swam with great hammerhead sharks off the island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas.
That's pretty
awesome. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's like on my bucket list up there with climbing Rainier to swim with great whites.
Yeah.
That looks like so much fun to me.
That would be terrifying for me, but I get why it's cool. Also, just another indicator of how much of a fan of Jaws he is, his daughter, her middle name is Ellen, after the female lead in Jaws.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
thought you were going to bring up his pickup truck.
No, well, we can talk about that, but just one other quick fun fact about naming the naming of their daughter. So he wasn't sure if his wife was going to go with letting him kind of use that Jaws fandom in her name, but he's like, it's a middle name. How often do you really use your middle name? And because of the rest, because of her first name and his last, her initials were J-E-D, and his last name, DiSeverio, is D-I, are the first two letters. So technically it's J-E-D-I if you did this. And apparently his wife's a huge Star Wars fan.
That's funny.
So like that's how we sold it. And I'm like, that's smart.
That's hilarious. You know Ellen was the first person cast for the movie Jaws?
I did not know that. I have some Jaws fun facts, but I did not pull that one up.
I have so many Jaws fun facts.
One of the other interesting things, he went to Jaws Fest in 2012, and he actually met the wife of the late author Peter Benchley, who wrote the book Jaws. Mm-hmm. And she, has talked about, since her husband's passing, about how she took up his mission to protect sharks. The one thing he regretted about the impact of Jaws was the negative impact it had on the perception of sharks. So that kind of put him on his path to start looking at how to support through nonprofits and educational partners and things like that, which I mentioned to you. The one that I think my kids would love is there's a Sharks for Kids on his website that has just like coloring books, has like different things just to like educate on what types of sharks there are. Mm-hmm. My son loves sharks already, so I don't need to do anything, but it just lets you understand what their role is in the ecosystem and kind of remove some of that scary stigma with sharks.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about it from a stats perspective. It's like, yes, people get attacked by sharks. Think about how many millions and millions and millions of people are in the ocean every single day.
Yeah.
And when there's a shark attack, everyone hears about it.
Well, and
you don't hear about it that often.
And I think one thing I had read was, yes, people die from shark attacks, but a shark is not eating the person. Something happens where the shark bites them. And yeah,
it's like an experimental,
is enough to just...
Yeah. I would say the only shark that's like out for it, maybe, is bull sharks. Bull sharks are just mean.
Aggressive.
They're just,
Yeah.
Something wrong with their medulla oblongata.
Bull sharks are right up there with swans. Just mean. Swans and Dalmatians.
And chihuahuas.
We had I actually have had good experience with the two chihuahuas that I've
never not been just relentlessly barked at.
I just feel bad because they always are shaking and nervous, and I get that. Like, I get always being constantly nervous. They'd just be shaking. Also, weirdly, yesterday I was mowing my lawn, and like 7 turkeys just walked through my backyard.
That's funny.
Never saw turkeys here before, and I'm just like, hey guys.
Yeah.
One was pretty big where I'm like, I'm going to just like let you guys do your thing.
Yeah.
Because the bigger one just was looking at me, and I'm like, bigger turkey than I've ever eaten or seen at a Thanksgiving feast, just like staring at me. And I'm like, there's a reason you're still around. That no one's like willing to mess with you.
Right.
But that was just some of the motivation for the shark theme. For if you on his website, he has a bunch of nonprofits that he lists. He raised money for nonprofits with his expo. All of that just was this culmination of watching Jaws, being a shark fan, learning more about sharks and ways to help, protect, and whatever it might be. On the hot sauce side, he won 6 2020 Scovies, so finished in the top 3 in 6 different sauces in 2020. 2021, he also won a Scovie as well. This is actually not one of his Scovie Award winners from what I saw, which is surprising because it is very good.
No, I really like the sauce. This is definitely one of my favorites.
I mean, I just like, it's always easy to say tacos, but I'm just thinking like, you put this on like a nice like chicken tacos or a chicken burrito. Like, I just like the adobo, like Chipotle with chicken. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like if I stop at Adobe and get like one of their chicken burritos, and their gigantic bag of chips. Mm-hmm. So
I'm thinking way outside of Mexican food too. So
yeah, I mean, you can go a lot further.
Eggs. This would be really good on anything breakfast.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Get a nice make a nice breakfast sandwich. Throw
just
this
get like
on
a
top.
standard American breakfast: hash browns, bacon, eggs, and just
American fries.
Yep.
Just smother this on American fries or corned beef hash. It's one drawback of doing this in the morning is I'm just thinking of all the food that I want to do.
Yeah.
So we talked about some Jaws facts. I know that you're a huge fan of Jaws. We also mentioned he has that vehicle. He has a 1957 Chevy Blazer that has the Amityville Police logo on it. It's a almost exact replica of the vehicle from the movies.
Chief Brody's.
but he did add a little Spicy Shark logo on the back because it is a work vehicle.
Yeah.
So he was looking for one forever.
Yeah.
And he said that when you look online and try to find one, it's either unavailable because I think it's the last. They said it's the last Chevy Blazer that had the removable hardtop.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's right. And he said you either couldn't find it or it was like $45,000 to get this vehicle and like major renovations still, major upkeep, all that. He found one at auction and then he was trying to figure out how to, make this work. And he sent a proxy to go do the bid, but he had to get the sign off from the wife. He thought he was going to have a little bit more of a battle with it, but she was like, you've, worked your tail off. You've, done all this extra work. You've never really gotten anything for yourself. Like his hot sauce is his hobby, so it's his business. And so she signed off on it, which he was surprised by. And he was listening on the phone while this proxy was doing the bidding, just like which I could only imagine is just nerve-wracking.
Yeah, pouring sweat probably.
Yeah, pouring sweat. But he won it. He said in the article I read, he even said he's like, not the $45,000. He's like, it was much less, but he won it. Had to do a little bit of like exterior upkeep, throw that sticker on or throw the decal on, and he has. I don't remember. So at the Boston Fest, I saw him at the booth, but I didn't see where he parked. But I'd be curious if he brought it there. I feel like it would have stood out, but there wasn't like a parking lot. It was kind of park in the area.
Yeah. But
I wish I would have seen that. But yeah, I do have a few Jaws facts that I looked up because I'm probably not as big of a fan of Jaws as you or Gabe talks about. Some of those scary movies when I was a kid both fascinated me, but also somewhat scarred me. Like It. I hate clowns. I think It is the reason why. And looking back, I've watched the movie again. It's not that scary now watching as an adult.
I mean, when you're a kid,
but as a
terrifying.
Kid, Tim Curry as just this creepy clown with sharp teeth and all that. It's like, I don't say I'm scared of clowns where I like can't be near them. I just prefer to keep my distance.
Yeah.
It's like, let's pretend that I have allergies to clowns where I need to keep a distance.
You stay over there.
Like, yeah, it's cat dander, clowns. I'm allergic, just keep them away.
That's funny. So did you read the book, Jaws?
I never read the book.
Okay.
I heard that there's a lot of major differences in the book to the movie. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple. I didn't write those down just because I hadn't read the book, so I didn't want to seem like...
Yeah. They're both... I was surprised how different they were, though. Like, there's a couple major plot things where it's like, oh, that's not how it went in the book at all, or that's not how it went in the movie, but, follows the same path, I would say. But, no, both very good. I remember my grandpa that passed away, he was telling me back when the book came out, he had just got done reading it, and he had to go pick, like, my mom or my uncle up. Mm-hmm. And he was driving. He's like, you read the book and it's just chilling. Like it's just a very graphic book. You definitely get feels when you read this thing. Like you feel like you just watched a movie. He said it was like middle of the night. He's driving through a cornfield. He's like, I'm just thinking of sharks, And one of the center pivot sprinklers got close to the road. And he's like, I just took a tidal wave in the middle of the night of this. And I don't know if you've ever stood in a center pivot sprinkler. Like it's so much water it'll knock you over. So it's like it's a tidal wave hitting his vehicle.
Yeah.
He's like, I just about spun out, rolled it into the ditch. He's like, for initial thought was a shark got me, but it was just a tidal wave from a center pivot irrigation in the middle of the night. He's like, that was just terrifying. So I thought that was funny, but no, the book's really good. As far as the movie, I have 5 movies that I'm pretty sure anyone could live the rest of their life on.
So it's kind of like your desert island movies. Like if you have just a tablet that stores 5 movies that has unlimited battery supply, this is one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's Back to the Future.
Okay.
Not in any particular order. Back to the Future, Top Gun, Twister, Jaws, and Jurassic Park.
So I've seen 4 of those 5.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No. And that, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's universal and that applies to every single person on Earth. You only need those 5 movies and you're good.
I mean, I enjoy all those movies.
Those are the best movies. I love them.
Okay. I mean, I'll have to think about
no contest.
Something I'll have to think about for the next episode might be my 5 desert island movies.
There's not much to think about. I just told you what they were.
Oh. Yeah. I do love Back to the Future. So I'm assuming we're talking about the original one.
Yeah, I watched that last night.
Yeah, because you don't get the full trilogy because that's cheating. That's 3.
Yeah, no. The second one, It's all right. I like the third one.
The second one, my parents weren't a fan of, so we never watched it as much in our house. The second one,
Yeah.
because like they didn't like I think some of like kind of was it Biff owns like casino,
yeah.
They didn't like all
It's weird.
the darkness of that. Like the first one's kind of campy but super fun,
Yeah.
and the third one, I love the third one because I love westerns.
Yeah.
But I know the first one is unequivocally the best of the three.
For sure.
I always wish that there was like some type of like reboot that not necessarily that the two of them were doing something, but they were in it and there was like a passing of the torch, because like Back to the Future is just a fun idea of like having that DeLorean is just an iconic vehicle. I think more iconic than the Jaws vehicle, but I'm just saying for me. But yeah, that's good. I don't think I would. This is bad. I don't think I would have Jaws in my 5 Desert Island movies. Sorry, Gabe. But I get it. But yeah, so
You're doing it wrong. I think less of you now.
that's fine.
No, not less, but different.
It's different. I mean, you've never seen Die Hard all the way through. I haven't seen Top Gun.
I have those 5 movies. Why would I have to see Die Hard?
Man, I would put Die Hard in there over Jaws.
Okay, moving on.
I'm just saying, I love Die Hard.
That's okay. You can have your own opinion, whether it's right or wrong. But Robert Shaw, the actor that played Quint, he almost didn't play Quint, which he is like, he makes that movie.
He's iconic in that
Quint
movie.
was anyone else, that movie wouldn't quite hit the same.
Yeah.
But he hated the book so much to the point where he's like, I don't even want to entertain playing Quint.
Okay.
And he got talked into it. So
Well, some of it you see, and there's kind of that fine balance in like movies, especially like adapted from books or comic books or whatever, where some people, it's like, oh, I didn't look at any of the source material because I want to make it my own, which is a cool idea. And with this, it's a little, I think that works. I mean, it definitely worked, obviously. But like for some things where it's like, oh, I didn't read the source material, but I'm going to play it differently, or I'm going to just do my thing, it can be a real negative. Like I look at how like Jared Leto played the Joker. He's like, I'm going to do my own thing. And it's like, didn't really work out.
Yeah.
Like you have to base it off something. But I mean, if and Robert Shaw is such a well-established actor that, he has the script, he has what the message or the tone is trying to do.
Yeah.
And he just knocked it out of the park.
yeah, his monologue when he talks about the USS Indianapolis. So he couldn't get that right. Like they did take after take, just couldn't get it. They got him drunk, or he got himself drunk, I think.
Yeah.
I think he was a heavy drinker anyways. But he got drunk and he just started talking, and they're like, oh shoot, roll cameras, And so that entire monologue he did without taking a break.
Yeah.
Did the entire thing, and they're like, that was it. And that was just him drunken, just doing it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, was it him and Richard Dreyfuss that didn't get along on set? Richard Dreyfuss didn't get along on set with somebody.
I think it was him.
Where it was even to a point where, and I think it was like he kept calling Richard Dreyfuss like chubby or fat or whatever, where there was a challenge of like to like dive off of like the top of the boat.
Crow's nest.
Yeah. And Richard Dreyfuss was going to do it. He's like, I'll do it. And Spielberg was like, no.
This is going way too far, guys.
I didn't realize. So the Jaws was 65-day shoot that went 157 days.
Yep.
It was a $4 million budget that went to $9 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I could only see Spielberg being like, we're not adding this. You get injured and we're delaying it more. No. There's like certain movie sets where I'm like, there could be a documentary that the movie Hook, apparently you could do a documentary about that cast because like there were so many strong personalities. There's so many behind the scenes issues, but so man, Hook is another good one from my childhood.
So I was just watching something the other day, and
Hook and Jaws, that's funny.
The original Captain Hook was not going to be Dustin Hoffman. It was another very famous actor.
Well, I don't know that one, but
okay,
I know the 3 potential actors that were going to play Brody before, who we have their cast is in place. Mm-hmm. Charlton Heston wanted to do it, but Spielberg thought it was too big of an actor to be in that role, which I just am very curious how that would have gone. I think it would have been great.
Character. That's strange.
Yeah, but Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman also auditioned, which it's hard now because I think of like Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman now in the last like 10, 15 years of the movies they've done. But you think back then, like they were, it makes sense. It makes sense for, I could see both of them performing it well. Mm-hmm. It's just iconic. It's now iconic to have Brody be that actor. So I did see one thing about the book to the movie, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the original ending in Jaws had him die from exhaustion, succumbing to his wounds. That was the original ending, and they changed it to the more thematic ending of the, that was the propane tank or
the dive tank.
Yeah, dive tank and an explosion. Apparently, the author Benchley was not happy. Like, he had to be escorted off the set because he was so upset with the change. And so I'm like, it worked.
Yeah, obviously Spielberg signed off on it, but I don't even think he was around. I think he was already back en route to like LA or something when they shot that scene, so he wasn't even there for that.
That could be. Yeah. But also, even though he voiced disapproval there, do you know that Peter Benchley is in the movie? He's the reporter on the beach.
Yeah. Huh.
That's Peter
I guess
Benchley.
I never thought about that.
Again, I wasn't really tracking much about the book before this, so also the famous Jaws shot, which is called the Jaws shot of the zoom in on Brody as he sees the kid.
I know about that.
So that's an iconic shot.
Yes.
But it wasn't first done by Jaws. It was first done by Alfred Hitchcock in Vertigo. Okay. But it's famously known as the Jaws shot.
Yeah.
Which Spielberg's not going to correct them because he's like, it's
right.
my famous shot. But it was taken from the Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
It was just done more iconically for
Right.
this.
Do you know how they do that?
No.
So what they do is they take the camera, they focus on Brody.
Yeah.
And I forget what it is. They either pull out, like physically move the camera back, or they move the camera forward. I can't remember exactly what it was. But they zoom at the same time to keep Brody
in focus
in the same position. But when you do that, you move your background.
Yeah.
So you're zooming in on your subject and your background shifts. And you can actually do it with your cell phone. So like zoom in as you walk at someone with your cell phone, or zoom out as you walk away from them, and just keep that person the same size. And then your background, so there's movement that you wouldn't get in any other way. I can't remember the name of that shot, but it's super interesting. Like if you look it up.
It's called the Jaws shot.
Okay. Sorry. But if you look it up, like there's a ton of really cool stuff out there about that specific shot. And it was used in a few other movies, but it's like not a very common shot to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one other fact I had from Jaws was there's the scene where Hooper goes to find Ben Gardner's boat. And there's like that jump scare of the
Ben Gardner. Yeah.
Yeah. Of him coming out. So that was shot after the fact because Spielberg, like during test screenings, was watching and he was like, I can get one more scare. I can get one more jump scare. Like I can get one more in there somewhere. And the studio, they were over budget. They're like, there's no way. So he spent his own money, spent like $3,000, set it up in a pool.
It was one of the producers' pools.
Yeah. And like they used milk to make it murky. Yeah. So like imagine like, hey, we're going to use your pool. We're also going to dump a tanker of milk.
Sour. It's so gross.
Yeah. So I mean, that might have been some of the $3,000 cost of like you're replacing this.
Yeah.
The water, like you're getting the pool cleaner out. Also, imagine being the pool cleaner, be like, hey, can you clean this up? Be like, is that milk?
And a head?
Like you forgot the dead guy head. But yeah, so they filmed that and it worked. I mean, I watched. Because I read that, I then went back to watch the scene just because I was curious.
Yeah. It's a gruesome
and then
scene.
It got me. I'm just like, oh, dang it.
It always gets everyone. I remember, because that's my dad's all-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching that. Like, I would say, like, limits on most things. Like, my parents like, oh, you can't watch that. You're not old enough. My dad's like, all right, you can walk. All right, you're watching Jaws. So I grew up with that movie. But that was the one scene that gave me the willies where I'm just like, man, that it always gets me. Even as an adult. I never get the timing right on it. I'm always like anticipating. I'm like, oh man, it didn't have
Yeah, it's like there's some of those songs that you listen to where like it starts like the intro is so long that you're like waiting for it and you're one round off of like this and like I never get it right. That's the same thing as that jump scare. It's just like
So that
it's coming.
That head from the scene, Spielberg put that head in his office for the longest time, and it took Universal years to convince him to give it back and put it, I think, use it as just like museum memorabilia or something like that. But can you imagine just having that in your office at all times?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm with it. But no, there's so many cool facts about the movie Jaws. The original, like when they were planning the movie out, they were going to get real sharks and train the sharks. I don't know how well that would have went, but they ended up going with a big mechanical called Bruce.
Yeah.
And they nicknamed the movie set Flaws because the mechanical shark never worked.
Yeah.
Do you know how much time that Bruce the shark is in the movie?
I don't. I feel like it's going to be a ridiculously like small amount, because I feel like there's so much build up at the beginning where like they don't show Jaws.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess 13 minutes.
He has 4 minutes of screen time.
Okay. That was,
think about the fear that movie has instilled in people.
Yeah.
And you see the villain for 4 minutes in that entire movie.
It's one of those where I've seen a few movies where there's a villain, and the more traditional villain, and they're like, oh, that role was so great, but I wish there was more. It's like, well, part of the reason you probably enjoy it so much is because it was select and it was in the right moments. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, like you don't want, if something's, if Jaws was in there so like an excessive amount of time, I feel like it would kind of lessen the reaction.
Yeah, like you get used to like what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, so anytime you see it, it's almost like seeing it again for the first time where you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Couple more facts here. I this is like my wheelhouse. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Half the stuff I didn't even have to look up.
That's what I figured. I did look up a little bit about the Thresher shark that's named after the sauce, but
we can look that up in a minute or talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. We got a little bit more time.
So I've
also just been having spoonfuls of the sauce as we talk. The heat is, for me, heat on this one is like, it's a low heat. It's a warm heat, but it's something that I could just like eat the whole bottle and just like maintain that balanced heat.
Like, give me a bag. I would knock this out with just a bag of tortilla chips. But let's see, what's the other one? Okay, so what is the most famous line from that movie, if not the most famous line in all of cinema?
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Yes. Yeah. That was an ad-libbed scene from Roy Schneider. That's his name, right? Yeah, Roy Schneider. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah.
Chief Brody.
I always go back. The reason I am afraid to say it, because I always feel like I'm going to miss-say it and say Rob Schneider, which is a totally different type of movie.
But I think it was Stephen King who has, I would say, some sort of opinion in things. He said that is probably the greatest, I think it was him, allegedly, it is the greatest line in cinema history. And it was an ad-lib scene, and it's just, you're going to need a bigger boat. It's 5 words.
There was a movie, the movie called PCU. It has Jeremy Piven, David Spade. Mm-hmm. It's an okay movie. It has some really funny parts to it, but it was interesting that my favorite line from that movie, I was watching the whole movie with the commentary, and Jeremy Piven, the lead actor, was talking about how the director refused to let them ad-lib anything. They had 3 or 4 like really good comedic actors. I mean, David Spade is just, improv is his thing. There was no improv or ad-libs allowed in the entire movie. One line got in, and it's the best line from the movie, like universally accepted, and it's the favorite line of mine. So I'm like, you look at how that one ad-lib is the most memorable part of that movie, and everything else was restricted. This wasn't restricted, but like that one ad-lib is like generationally known now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, that one, and then the music. Everyone, it doesn't matter if you've seen the movie or not, everyone in America gets in a swimming pool, puts their nose underwater, and keeps their eyes up and does dun dun, which that was only, 2 keys or 2 chords? I'm not a piano guy. I think it's keys. EF.
Yeah, I don't know the piano stuff either.
But so when John Williams, who, did Star Wars, did Jurassic Park, did all that.
Yeah.
When he presented that to Steven Spielberg's like, really? Like, that's all you have is 2 keys? Like, and Spielberg was not with it. He was not happy about it. He's like, you need to come up with something more than that. They're like, trust me, just ride this out. Turned out to be probably the most recognizable music other than the Imperial March.
Yeah,
in cinema history.
The thing is, John Williams has his hand in a lot of the iconic ones, and yeah, this is one of his most iconic, which is funny. Where like you look at
2 keys, that's crazy.
You look at like even like the Superman theme song, like all of the build up and all of this production, and it's like, yeah, that's a great theme. Also, this, which two chords, 2 keys, whatever it might be, it's like that's all it takes.
Yeah,
just drastically different.
Right. Okay, sorry. I'm just about done here. I think I got 2 more here. So did you know that there are 3 other Jaws movies besides the original?
Part
of the Jaws
I knew that
franchise.
there was a second one.
The second one's pretty good. It's not nearly as good as
Is
the
the
first
second one where it ends with him biting like the
power cord
yeah.
dam on the island. Yeah.
I remember that one decently.
So that one's okay. The third one has Dennis Quaid in it.
Okay.
Which it's been so long. It's like Jaws 3D. That movie was terrible. And then the fourth one is actually rated officially as one of the worst movies of all time. And it has who's Alfred from The Dark Knight?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, yeah, that's right. He's one of the main characters in it, and it's like someone's first attempt at claymation.
That's not good.
It is so bad, it's unreal. It is officially one of the worst movies of all time. That's from all movie authority sources.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you're not missing anything. I would say if you like the first one, watch the second one.
I'd be curious to watch all four just to watch the decline.
It gets worse. It's a reverse exponential curve.
Yeah.
Where just like it tanks. And the last one, you're like, who signed off on this? You know,
like,
it's got Ellen in it. Like Chief Brody died.
Yeah.
You know, she has all these I think it's Jaws the Revenge.
Okay.
And they're down in the Bahamas, and you just see this terrible claymation. I almost went a different description with that one. This terrible claymation in Bohemian waters. And you're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Could have stopped at the second one.
Yeah. But okay. And then the last one. So, you know, when they cut I have two more. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time. I got to get rolling. You know, when they cut the shark open?
Yeah.
And license plate spills out?
Yeah, 007?
Yeah. Well, so that license plate, they did a nod to Steven Spielberg in the movie Deep Blue Sea, where they have a license plate in that movie that is the same.
Oh, it's the same one?
ID, yeah.
Nice.
And the last one, there's a restaurant that Alex Kittner, the kid that got eaten off the raft, he started a restaurant. He's got the Kittner sandwich.
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Kittner came in and they sat down and had a sandwich together. And it was totally like unplanned. He's like, oh my gosh, I was the little boy that, I was your son in that movie.
That's pretty cool.
I thought that was funny, but.
All right, let's get into the score on this one because, we've been focused so much on Jaws and sharks and all this, but
sorry,
this is a really good sauce. So I had this one as an 85.
87.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very good sauce. I think this is my second or third highest.
I think so. And it's one where, we talk about 75 and above is like we would want in our kitchen. 50 and above in general is recommended to buy. 25 to 50 is kind of it's one that you should try, but we're not going to say go out of your way for it. And under 25 is not for us, but maybe for you. So this is a high we want to have around.
I can't imagine what the other ones, the award-winning ones are. I'm excited to try those.
He's got some great flavors. My dad has been using his blueberry maple syrup that has some like pretty mild heat, but some decent heat in it. He's been making that for everybody. Even my nieces like that one. Mm-hmm. So he's got maple syrups. He's got srirachas. He's got buffalo sauce. We have the buffalo sauce, the sriracha, and a couple, I think like a ghost pepper and a couple other ones.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is a phenomenal sauce. I really there's so many things you could put it on. One thing just about the Thresher shark, there was a myth, which I found this weird, that swordfish and Thresher sharks work together to attack whales. Thresher sharks whipping their tails in front of them while the swordfish impales them, but neither of them can eat whale. So it was like, this is a dumb myth. But I just found it funny where it's like they had this plan of the whole thing of a collaboration they were doing.
That's funny. I know a lot of like sword fishermen will get threshers. But they're a very beautiful shark. The tail, something like the tail's like just as long as the body or close to.
Right.
Like they're really crazy looking.
But yeah, so that's our episode with the spicy shark.
Yeah, no, that was a very solid sauce. I like the artwork too. Simple, but you can tell what it is. I love animals, so I'm just like, I like when I can look at something and be like, I know exactly what that is. I would have known a Thresher shark if you hadn't said anything.
Right. So just a couple of special thank yous on this one. Lauren from Hot Graham Sauce Company, he took our advice and tried Mammoth Sauce Company, and he enjoyed both sauces, Whiz-Wit and the Mad Jupiter. So that was pretty cool. Congrats to Sam Hastings of Sam Sauce, who just got married last week. That's an exciting time. He just got married last Friday. And also just wanted to say a special thank you to anyone that listens or follows us on Instagram. We just reached a milestone in our downloads that we just got updated on last week, which was really cool. And we also just surpassed 500 followers on Instagram. We were at 514 yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. And we keep adding incrementally. So please recommend to follow us on Instagram for any updates on anything. Also, we recommend, let people know about the episode, let them know about what we're doing. If you follow us on Instagram at the Heat Source Podcast for all of our updates, and then also make sure to follow Spicy Shark at thespicyshark.com, and also check him out on Instagram. Links will be in the episode description. So other than that, I think this is
That was a good one.
Fun episode, delicious episode, and got a lot of movie knowledge, and we each have our list of movies we have to go watch in the future.
I feel like I just doubled the amount of words I've ever said on the podcast on this episode.
You talked a lot on this one. It was good.
I don't have many people to talk to Jaws about except for my dad, like my brothers and my dad, which is great. But
if anyone else is a big Jaws fan, reach out to Mike. Let him know. Give him an outlet to discuss. Also, a good question, and I'll put it on the post as well. What was one of your favorite childhood movies that you still can watch pretty much anytime it's on? You can watch it still. That'd be a good one to see what people say, because Jaws obviously is a strong one for you, and I don't know. I mean, Back to the Future is a good one for me. Jurassic Park, I'd have to think about that. I'll post my comment underneath as well.
Did you just question Jurassic Park?
I'm just trying to think of which one would be the ultimate one for me. I love Jurassic Park. Don't get that confused.
I just want to let everyone know I am a man of integrity. I watched Jurassic World again. I bought it on Amazon Prime, and I think it's just as bad as the first time I saw it. So
that's something coming from you.
Yeah, so I was pretty proud of myself to be like, well, that wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. I'm pretty consistent with how I feel about things. So,
all right,
love you, Sam Neill.
All right, well, thank you again, Sam Neill, and we will check you in. I think we'll be off next week for the holiday, and then we will be back the following week with some new sauces. So we will see you then.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yippee-ki-yay. What's your favorite shark?
Megalodon.
What do you think about Thresher sharks?
My favorite shark is the Megalodon.